Astros.
An award will be presented tonight, the likes of which the Texas Rangers have never won. And we wonder, why? How can this possibly be? We discuss it and the future of the bullpen next on the DLLS Rangers Podcast. Jeff wrote yesterday about the bullpen and the needs therein, and we will talk a lot about that coming up a little later in the program. But first, I love to comment. I think it was from Ardell yesterday. It might have been from Ben, who said, the Rangers' future is so bright. You got to wear Shady Rays. So here we are. And there. Look, I'm actually going to take the Shady Rays off for now. I'm going to sveltly put them into the pocket of my shacket.
Shacket.
Did you know this is a shacket, Jeff?
Yeah.
Shirt jacket.
Yeah, shirt
I like it.
plus jacket. And by the way, I checked, Abs. We also have the Queen over here. The cat is in here producing for us today. They both told me today this is a shacket. I checked. It's in the Cambridge Dictionary shacket. It is in the Cambridge Dictionary. It's a shirt and a jacket. And that, by God, is what I'm wearing on the first chilly day in Texas.
Is it
I like
warm?
it. It is very warm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll probably be, taking it off to show the Die Hard shirt later as well. But anyway, I got my shacket. I got my shades. I'll need these in about 13 minutes again, actually. So I think you know what I'm talking about there. Rads, Abs, J-Dub, and the Queen. The Prophet, busy day yesterday, so he's off. We're hanging out, and the thing we want to talk about first is the news, really, of the day, which really, in many ways, was not news, Abs, because like you've been saying, when something's about to happen in baseball, check with us, because J-Dub has usually warned us about it, and he gave us a full list of who to expect the Rangers to protect on their, put on their 40-man roster to protect from somebody swiping them in the Rule 5 draft, and 2 were done for sure, just like Jeff said they would.
Yeah.
The other one, Max Acosta, was one of the ones Jeff thought was a possibility.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised though that he was protected just because of the infield depth. But I wasn't in Arizona.
Right.
You don't know what the buzz is from the scouts. They hear stuff. We like Acosta a lot. We might take him real fast. Oh, this, that, and the other. So if they thought
338 he hit in fall league,
and that came after a 306 second half for Frisco. So if they thought they were going to lose him, then that makes sense. I thought they would go with Dane Acker just based on what they've been saying about him. Drooling over him since they acquired him from the A's, and he hasn't been great the last couple of years, but he's still pitched really well. Like he knows how to pitch. He has the stuff, and and if you're going to have Leiter and Rocker in the major league rotation, Dane Acker is a pretty valuable piece of depth for starting pitching and all of that jazz. Yeah, Teodo is going to be on the 40-man, but Dane Acker, he could eat you some innings in a pinch. You need a spot start. You're going to need a spot start. I don't care how many guys you have who can start. You're going to need a spot starter at some point in the season. So easy to do that way. Pretty clean and simple. No in-season 40-man move. Just do it now. But good for Max Acosta. He was a huge prospect in 2019. And like I said yesterday, initially he was compared to Jerks and Profar based on his game instincts and everything. He plays shortstop, but he can move around. He's got pretty good wheels. But the biggest thing is he's hitting the ball now with more impact. A lot harder hit balls. So they're obviously seeing something taking off, and good for him,
Yeah, and a lot of righties added to that list as well. 3 protected in Rule 5.
Yeah, it's interesting when you think about Max, because again, the argument against him yesterday was that there are 3 players ahead of them, 2 who have spent most of the last 2 seasons on the major league roster, and 1 who had a breakout year in Josh Smith. So you've got Josh Smith and Ezekiel Duran and Jonathan Ornelas ahead of him. There really isn't a spot for him, but maybe, Jeff, this speaks to in the development game now. First of all, you want guys who are extremely versatile, and secondly, we can teach them to do something else.
Yeah,
right? That mentality.
And we're still kind of in that weird era that college sports is going through now with COVID.
Right.
Because every minor leaguer, unless they were put in the alternate camp that year in 2020, missed a season. But almost none of them played, and Leody Taveras, for instance, was a prospect who was in that camp and ended up playing, and Sam Huff a little bit. There are others. But, these guys lost a year without games, without reps, without any of that stuff. They're training off on their own. And, in Max's case, I don't know where he was. I don't know if, I think he's from Venezuela. And they weren't permitted, Venezuelans weren't permitted to go home during COVID. And, there's political unrest there anyway, but so they were stuck in Arizona. So, what are these guys able to do? So it's, are they, he lost a year. So he's a little bit older, but he's not as experienced as his, so it's just a lost year. So there's just a lot of weird stuff still happening with that because of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Saw someone ask you on Twitter about Ortiz. You weren't shocked that
Abby. Coincidentally, the guy's last name was Ortiz. So I wonder if there's a relative situation there. But I was not surprised. He didn't have a great year at Frisco. Fantastic finish. Great finish. He's also a little bit limited offensively, if we're being honest. Or he's limited defensively to just first base, and there's some questions there about him. I know the Rangers tried him in right field a little bit, but it's still not like there yet. So it would have been hard for a team to protect him. So so I'm not surprised. And I don't think he'll get picked up.
Right.
It'd be really hard for a team to carry him on the roster all year.
Yeah. So let's take that to the next level. How worried do we feel like the Rangers are? Again, assuming that they want to keep all of these guys, right? How worried are they about maybe a Josh Stephen, who had such a great breakout fall league where he was, significantly under
ERA.
1 ERA, right? Again, short sample, and he's never pitched above AA?
Correct.
Yeah.
And he hasn't pitched a full season.
Yeah.
Either,
so you probably feel fairly safe about him.
Yeah. And in 23 it was a back injury. This last year it was an elbow injury. Didn't require surgery or anything, but you're like, okay, do you worry? Do you worry about that? So I'm not sure that he's got someone that a major league team is going to want to mess with.
Right.
I would. I mean, if I had to guess, I would say Acker. There's a chance Acker goes. I don't know about Brian Magdaleno just because he hasn't done it a lot, and he's never done it above AA. Acker's never pitched above AA, but he's got stuff. You could stash him away in the back of a bullpen as a long guy, and be okay. And then what's going to happen with Blaine Krim? The guy has hit throughout his minor league career. He is a first baseman, a right-handed hitting first baseman. So in the game, there's this bar that, people think right-handed hitters have to hit for more power than Blaine Krim does, though he's a 20 homer a year guy, 20 to 25. I just think he needs a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Give the guy a chance.
I know this.
President of that fan club.
I know this. If Jeff was a general manager of any other team, Blaine Krim would get his chance.
That's right.
Because he'd be snapped up in that Rule 5 draft.
Yeah, I'm getting him. And well, okay, so how about a team like Oakland?
Right.
All right. They're going to go to Sacramento, and they don't have a lot going for them this year. Why not take Dane Acker, who they drafted originally? If they still obviously they liked him. What was he, a 4th round pick, 3rd round pick from Oklahoma? So you spent you spent some money to get him, and then you traded him right away. All right, well, you can have him back. And Blaine Krim. I mean, the A's scouts, the A's AA and AAA team are in the same league as the Rangers AA and AAA team, so they've seen Blaine Krim a lot.
So
and I don't know who. Is there an answer at first base right now for the A's? Are you convinced? Is Brent Rooker going to be your first baseman, or Tyler Soderstrom, or what? What are you going to do there? But if you need young, cheap bats, he seems to fit their profile. He really does.
Yeah. So in other words, Jeff likes Blaine Krim as a player, just not as a person, because he wants to sentence him to a season in Sacramento.
Well, I mean, the Rule 5 draft is to give these guys their major league opportunity.
Yes, it is.
And it doesn't matter where you play. Shoot, maybe, who knows? Maybe Las Vegas is, in 2 years or 3 years, everybody's going to want to play there.
Sure.
Maybe. Who knows? But, I just think that he's got a chance to get picked.
Yeah. So that's interesting, and that is what the Rule 5 draft is all about. It's about giving guys the opportunity to play, and the Rule 5 draft, of course, comes on the final day of the winter meetings, which are here in Dallas from December the 9th through December the 12th.
It's everybody's favorite event of the winter meetings, because it means the winter meetings are ending.
Yes, they're almost over after 3 days of basically us interviewing each other and saying, what did you hear? What did you hear? What did you hear?
Pretty much.
We want you to chat along. We noticed you there, Ardell. I shouted out earlier about your Shady Rays comment. I think it was you. Rangers' future so bright, they got to wear Shady Rays. So that's cool. And we definitely want to talk a little bit, too, about the article, Jeff, with the relief pitchers, because... Okay, so we know this. I'm afraid people may have looked at it and said, wait, what about Kirby Yates? You're saying the Rangers need to go outside the organization to get a relief pitcher. Technically, getting Kirby Yates right now is outside the organization.
Right. Kirby Yates is not on the roster. Kirby Yates is not a member of the Texas Rangers. And this is something, this is always an old copy editor thing that, you'd see a story that said, Rangers pitcher Kenny Rogers. Well, he was a free agent, or whoever it was was a free agent. They're like, no, he's not on the roster. He's not a Texas Rangers pitcher right now. So, a technicality, I guess, but true. He's not on the 40-man. He is technically outside the organization. Look, they're going to sign somebody. There are, probably 100 relievers who are free agents, if not more. But what if they don't? What or what if it's just, or any of them? What if it's just a 1-year deal for a guy? What's the future look like for the bullpen? The immediate future, are there arms that are going to be in there? And there are a lot. And I think the photo I ran with the story was and it was our thumbnail today, was John Gray. And everybody is kind of like, well, hey, John Gray pitched so well in the World Series as a reliever. He did it a couple times again last season here in 24, and he's got the stuff. He's got like a rubber arm. All of his injuries, none of them have been arm related. So he's an intriguing candidate for that. And there are a lot of people who think he could do it in the organization. Problem is, he makes $14 million. So that's a really big price tag for a reliever. It can't just be like a 7th, 8th inning guy. He's got to be a closer. If you're going to move him to the bullpen, he's got to be a closer to maximize the value at a time when the Rangers aren't sharp on the money. But also, John Gray will give you 140, 150 innings. He's going to go on the injured list at some point. He just always has. But, and then they're short on starting innings too. So he might be your best option to close games, but you also need him somewhere else. So then beyond that, it's like, well, geez, I don't know. Because there are a lot of young guys with big arms and no experience. And, I think Mark Church, off of his fall league showing, highly thought of, but do you want to make him your closer? Just say, hey Mark, you're closer. You've got one big league appearance in your lifetime. Go close. And why not? And what about Emiliano Teodo? He's now on the 40-man.
Yeah.
Throws 100 miles an hour. good slider. Kind of, excuse me, kind of makes you think of Neftali Feliz, But Feliz did have 2 years in 2009 in the big leagues, coming from Frisco to the big leagues before they made him the closer in 2010. So there just aren't a lot of they're great arms, but not great options. So
Yeah.
it's like the Rangers have to get a guy outside of the organization.
I think it would be hard for John Gray to make that switch too. That bullpen, especially the closer, that's such a mental.
It is. You know better
position.
than anybody with your dad. Yeah.
So, it's like, does he even want to do that?
Well, he doesn't. That's the other thing. He
Right.
doesn't want to do it.
He's a starter. He wants,
Yeah.
But I guess one quick question. Max Fried to the Rangers. That's kind of in the works. And I know we haven't touched on Eovaldi in a minute, but do you think I don't know. The longer that we go, I feel less good about Eovaldi.
Oh, let's talk about that a little bit when we also bring up a few other topics, including Manager of the Year and Cy Young Award winner. Those will be announced. The Cy Young will be announced today. Manager announced yesterday. We'll talk about those, and we'll talk about Fried and Eovaldi. Whoa. Abby's not feeling great about Eovaldi? We better discuss. It's all coming up on the DLLS Rangers podcast. But now I'm back to the Shady Rays. You darn right I am. Here they are, fantastic sunglasses. It's bright and sunny today, and I could have worn them throughout the whole show because I can see everything I need to. The lights are bright in here. Shady Rays, polarized. They dim it all. They're beautiful. They're wonderful. To me, they're very stylish. This is exactly what I was looking for. Comfortable, almost indestructible. You need to get yourself a pair of Shady Rays. It's very easy to do. You go to shadyrays.com. You can get any variety of styles. They have, whatever you think is fashionable. They've got that style available too. They're polarized. They're fantastic. And you can get them for 35% off. That's a pretty significant discount because guess what? They're not super expensive anyway. So 35% off is a good deal. Get yourself some Shady Rays. And like Ardell said, Shady Rays, the future's so bright. You got to have Shady Rays.
And, if you get the right floors from Empire Today, they're going to be so bright and shiny that you're going to need your Shady Rays.
Heck of a point.
Yeah. Empire Today, they did our floors here in this room. They're just so well known in this area. They're experts. They're not, you're not going to a big box store and talking to a guy who just sold a toilet. All right. You're talking to people who specialize in flooring, carpet, hardwoods, whatever it is. They know their stuff. And the best thing about them, they have this virtual design thing where you can hold up your phone in any room and see what it would look like. And you don't really even need to leave your house. That's the best thing about this, and they're pros. They're just pros. They service their own warranties. I mean, you're not going to need the warranties, though, because they're that good. So here's what you need to do. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners and watchers can receive $350 off when they use the promo code DLLS.
All right. Nathan Eovaldi.
I'm not feeling good about it.
Wow. You're starting to get a bad feeling.
I kind of am.
Because? Just time?
Just time. I saw something about the Braves. The Braves would kind of be enticing. Dodgers probably too. Max Fried. I'm kind of going down that avenue, I guess.
Well, all right. The Max Fried thing is just some guy throwing crap on a wall.
Okay.
I mean, it's possible. But Max Fried's going to make about the same that Nathan Eovaldi was. So who would you rather have? It's going to be a longer commitment for Fried.
Yeah.
So, do you want to go to that length? It's going to cost you a draft pick because he turned down a qualifying offer.
No, I'm not saying it's like the Rangers side of things. I think it's Evo's side of things.
I don't. I think you're not hearing a lot about Eovaldi, and I think that's a good thing, because the Rangers keep their business quiet.
Yeah.
And so I think that there might be stuff under the works. I know that they've spoken to him multiple times. He's kind of letting the market play out a little bit, but there's been frequent communication between the two sides. what does that mean? Who knows? And, who knows who else he's talking to? But I wouldn't close the. I don't like your negative vibes.
Oh,
I
threw it out
don't really
there.
have
Yeah.
negative vibes. I don't feel as strong as I did when the last few times we talked about it.
I just think he's the guy they've won. I think and I
for
think
sure.
I think that they have the money to do it. So
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's like their side of things. I think it's him.
Well, and yeah, from their perspective, the old saying is the devil you know versus the devil you don't. Well, in this case, it would be the angel you know versus the devil you don't, because as a pitcher and as a guy on your team, he's like angelic, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about it many times before. Nathan Eovaldi does everything you could want. He's nasty Nate, so he's a bulldog on the mound, and he's a teacher, and he's a coach, and he's a best buddy, and he's a father figure. I mean, there's so much to like about him, which is why the Rangers have made him the absolute priority, and maybe why we haven't heard them, of course, like you say, Jeff, we don't hear much from them anyway. But, it seems like no movement really taking place on their next greatest priority, which is the aforementioned Kirby Yates.
Yeah, we talked, going back to the last segment, they got to have a guy. You know? And I asked somebody with the Rangers last week, you have the money to do both. They said, well, yes, we have the money, but it just depends on if Ray Davis is willing to spend it. And you can go both ways on this. I know John's not too happy about that one, but when the Rangers have asked for money, Ray Davis has usually given it to him. In certain, in circumstances where they make the presentation and say, "Hey, we need this guy. Give us the money," and he has done it. The luxury tax, he doesn't want to go over that. So if there's a way to wiggle it and make it work, maybe you have to trade somebody. Okay, that's fine. But I just and maybe Kirby Yates isn't their guy. Maybe they go find another guy and pay him $4.5.
Right.
Somebody flying under the radar again, and
like they did Kirby Yates last year.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a guy who follows me on the Twitter, and he said something like, they're just going to sign cheap guys coming off of injuries and hope for the best. And I was like, oh, like Kirby Yates.
Yeah.
It does work out every once in a while, guys.
Yeah.
So so we'll see about that, but I don't know. Fried's numbers are fantastic.
Yeah.
Throughout his career, the last few seasons, his ERA has been between 2 and 2.5 and 3. He did have an injury there. I think it was a leg injury, if I'm not mistaken. Pitches on a winning team, knows how to win games.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to like about Max Fried, and you kind of look around the division. How does a left-hander play in the division? You probably want a lefty against the Astros to minimize Tucker and Alvarez. I don't know about the Mariners. I don't really have to worry about their offense. They're terrible against everybody. The Angels aren't very good right now. So I don't know if a lefty's a good fit. But if the rest of the rotation is going to be DeGrom, Rocker, Leiter, Gray, you probably want to get a different look in there.
Yeah,
and,
you do.
And, instead of all these power right-handers, get a lefty in there. Maybe it's Cody Bradford. I don't know, but maybe it's Max Fried.
I mean, you might like two lefties, honestly.
Sure.
Because
You
then
gotta
you go
switch it up
righty,
some
lefty,
point,
lefty,
fellas.
right? I mean, so you're throwing a different look at the other team, every other day. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's certainly, there's some wisdom, some conventional baseball wisdom to that. So,
And I just think with Kirby Yates, I think last year was his best year. By far, obviously.
no question.
But
well, I don't know, 19, he was really good.
Yeah, he made the All-Star team in 19, as
19.
well.
He was the closer of the year.
lower
Yeah.
lower ERA though this
Okay.
year. So I'm just saying, can you pencil that down for next season?
Yeah, no, you can't. I mean, you don't know what he'll do, but again, his is a big sample size, right? It was the full season. I mean, he
no
took
doubt.
over as the closer in, mid-April, I think, or certainly by early May, and he didn't bat an eyelash. I mean, he was strong all season long. So all you have is I mean, it's one thing to look at all the numbers and all the data and all the, the empirical stuff. And then it's another to go, man, we watch the guy every day, right? Especially
The eye test.
especially for a guy like Bruce Bochy.
Yeah.
More of an old school guy who's going to be like, he passes my eye test, the eyeballs like him, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, he doesn't. I mean, he doesn't throw super hard, but his split finger is terrific. He doesn't walk a ton of guys,
Right.
So I mean, he doesn't beat himself, and he does know how to pitch. I know he had the injury years there, but he's not a young guy. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Does that keep his salary down? But so yeah, you probably can't expect the 1.17 ERA again and the 1 blown save. But what if it's a 2.5 ERA and 4 blown saves?
Sure.
Not
That's
bad.
still better than what you got.
Yeah.
Still pretty happy with that, especially after the previous year when the Rangers had 63 save opportunities and blew 30 of them.
Blew 33.
No, blew 33. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. They blew 33 of them. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. How about that?
Unbelievable
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
happened the year before. So, they need, but that's the whole point of the whole thing. And the impetus for the article that Jeff wrote is that you got to have somebody, right?
Yeah.
Got to have somebody.
There just aren't internal options.
Yeah.
Really.
No.
Yeah.
No. All right. So let's talk about.
Sorry.
Yes.
Josh Sborz would be an option, except he's hurt.
He's been hurt.
So,
Yeah. Let's talk about the manager of the year as it came down yesterday. We were all kind of leaning toward Vogt, and
Us
Vogt
minus
wins
Jeff.
it. Jeff was kind of waffling and,
I waffled.
kind of going Ray Davis on us, who waffles on whether he's going to spend a lot of money or not. Sorry about that. And then-
Come on,
so-
man. That hurt.
Yeah. So anyway, it was Stephen Vogt, who's only, 2 years ago, he was a player.
I was about to say it's the fastest, from player to manager of the year in MLB history.
I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the reason, right? It's the
100%.
whole thing. And I've always thought the best managers are those who played. And a guy like him really does speak the language of today's generation of players.
Yeah. When you're far removed, I mean, there is a disconnect a little bit,
Yeah.
All of the tidbits don't necessarily translate because so much has changed and the game evolves pretty often, and it's a good thing it does, keeps everything fresh. But Stephen Vogt, if you just look at what he did, like I made this point kind of with AJ and the Tigers, it's like he knew what he had. Tarek Skubal and pitching chaos, Stephen Vogt, I thought it was a more impressive body of work because he kind of made something out of nothing. You thought you were going to have Shane Bieber all year. 2 weeks into the season, he's out. You lose 3 relievers. 2 of your starters go down. You sent him to AAA before the All-Star break. Like, odds were against him. And, by the end of the season, he had the 3rd youngest roster in MLB. So he really made something out of nothing. And in your first year.
And then they didn't just sneak into the playoffs.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Unlike the other 2 teams in the division, the Tigers and the Royal, who were fighting for it. The Guardians, I almost said it, but I went
Good
There
work.
you go.
Good work.
Yeah, the Guardians were first place, from early on throughout the year.
Yeah, they kind of a wire to wire thing.
Yeah.
And, the ability to relate. His he's a catcher. He was a catcher.
Yep,
So all the best managers
They make
are
the best
catchers.
managers.
Oh,
They
yeah.
really do.
always.
So they know the game. They can see the game. But I just think that's kind of a. It just seems like there might be a more in the future guys who are just out of the game who become managers.
Yeah.
I just think it could. I think it could work. Obviously, it worked with him, but it's worked elsewhere, and I think it really is like they understand what a player is going through. They're not that far removed from it.
Yeah,
Look, I live with a former Major League Baseball player. The guy needs to be busy. Like men just need to work. It's not good to not have anything to do. Yes.
And another one that comes to mind recently, Gabe Kapler.
Yeah.
Who, obviously didn't have the long-term success, and now I think he's in the Tampa front office now, isn't he?
Yeah,
Miami.
I saw
Miami's front office.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Miami.
But
Saw that.
anyway, he became a manager very quickly out of the game, and he could speak the language of the guys, and he had a tough act to follow there in San Francisco. But anyway, that's the other. But the other side of that coin is what the other manager of the year represents, and that would be Pat Murphy.
Yeah.
Who is 65 years
Impressive
old.
turnaround.
He's managing for the first time, having been a bench coach for 7 or 8 years. And this guy, have you you have talked to him much or anything?
I haven't. I remember him from Arizona State, though. And
You do, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I mean, this guy's personality is unbelievable. When you just hear and read the stories about, they call it Murph's pocket pancakes. During spring training, he'll just sidle up next to a guy and he'll reach into his pocket and he'll pull out a pancake and start eating it, And somebody else said, I saw him do that too. It's a waffle. Somebody else said, I saw him pull an egg roll out of his pocket. He gets hungry during these long spring training workouts. He walks up and he's got nicknames for everybody. He's just really
a guy's guy.
Yeah, he is. He's that guy, and it worked. I mean, it worked in Milwaukee, and so good for him. Congratulations to a guy.
On the flip side, he never played in Major League
That's
Baseball.
right. No, so he is the exact opposite of what we're talking about.
Yeah, he joins
with
10
the votes and the Kaplers of the world.
10 managers of the year who have not played, and it's a great list. So
Buck Showalter, right? He never played in the
Yep,
majors.
Who?
That's right.
Buck Showalter.
Yep, he's on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's when you look at guys like Jim Leland and Bryant Snicker and all these guys, like it's that much more impressive that they don't have the personal experience. Because how many times do I say, "Oh, can I read into this more?" Because I don't have the personal experience. Like
Sure.
that's even more difficult to relate and really, really just connect with the guys and get your plan done successfully.
Right, when you have all this experience and know what worked when you were a player. So more coming up as we have our fourth place hitter. We actually have two batting cleanup segments in a way. Our fourth place hitter is next as we go to now batting, and then we've got our batting cleanup segment with lots to clean up.
Got to touch on Cy Young too.
Yeah, we will, and lots to clean up in the world of baseball, including handicapping the Cy Young, which will be announced tonight. It's all coming up. It's the DLLS Rangers Podcast. All right, we got a new sponsor. It's called Saturday Neon, and we're so pleased to welcome them to the show. And you say, well, okay, what are they? It's a good question you ask. They are a company that makes neon, LED neon signs. Right now, they are licensed with 50 of your favorite colleges, hence Saturday, right? You can get your favorite college team in how do you become take your fandom to the next level? That's how you do it. With a Saturday Neon. Just go ahead and order yourself a Saturday Neon. These things are fantastic. Neon lights for your dorm room, your office, a bar, maybe our set.
Yeah,
Saturday
Saturday
Neon.
Neon.
I'm just thinking out loud
Saturday
here.
Neon on Wednesday.
Wouldn't a TCU or an SMU one look great over there?
No SMU.
Or Oakland University.
Oh, yeah.
We could put the Golden Grizzlies up there. Where'd you go again, Abs?
Sanford.
We put a Samford up there. I'm taking too long because it's a new sponsor, but please avail yourself to Saturday Neon. 10% off if you use the code DLLS.
I'm going to sound like an auctioneer because Rad stole 15 seconds. FOCO has our place looking nice. They have the best sports gear around. They have hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads.
Overalls.
You can get a beach towel and you can get overalls. So Rads wants to do gardening in overalls. I'm going to need Miss Kathy to send me a photo of that. But they've got basketball, hockey. You can get your favorite team branded friendship bracelets. Molly might like that.
Yeah.
So many things. FOCO has got it all. Also at an affordable price. Go to FOCO and use the code DLLS for 10% off. Holidays are around the season. Can't think of a better way to celebrate some basketball, hockey, football, all the things than with FOCO.
Nailed it.
Thank you.
So yeah, she did. She nailed it. So here we go. Let's clean up. We're gonna do a cleanup before our cleanup. Let's clean up Cy Young.
Yeah.
Because the award will be announced tonight. And we've talked about the candidates previously. And obviously there's a chance.
I can set the scene if you need me to.
What's that? Yeah,
I can
please.
set the
He's
scene.
very
Please.
excited.
Yeah.
Tarek Skubal earned the pitching crown for AAA. Chris Sale did the same with the National League. This
Triple
would be
crown. The pitching triple crown.
yes,
Pitching triple crown.
Excuse me. This would be the fourth time that a pitcher's won the Triple Crown in each league in the same season, and the last one was 2011. Justin Verlander, Clayton Kershaw. So
That's pretty amazing.
those are
some pretty good
obviously
names.
front runners.
Yeah. And so each of these guys won the Triple Crown, which means they're each a 2-foot putt. They win, right? Not necessarily. Not when you got a guy like Paul Skeens, who was
Yeah.
also the rookie of the year, kind of clogging things up a little bit over there in the National League side, especially.
Yeah, it's tough. And you got Clase on the American League as well. I
Right.
mean, when your ERA starts with 0,
Right.
that's tough.
And again, all the saves that he had and the importance
47.
that he was, how important he was to that Guardians team. 2 times in a row, I said it. He was so important to that Guardians team.
3.
So
Now you're showing
there you
off.
go. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm running up the score now. Yeah. So anyway, we've talked about that too. Is the closer versus the starter an apples and oranges discussion?
I say
That's
yes.
up to the voters.
Yeah, I really do.
Jeff did have a vote in this one, and so he can't say a lot.
I can't say until tomorrow.
Will you let us
Tomorrow
know?
we can reveal my ballot and celebrate.
Break it all down.
Yeah.
And if, hopefully you've got the winner, boy, we're going to be so sad for us and for you if we're fielding calls all show from like angry fans of some fan base who are like, how could you have left him off your ballot?
I like my chances.
Okay.
But, all right, how everyone asks you the question, if you could be anybody for a day, who would it be?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Paul Skeens, and I want to be him for like the last 500-something days. Let me run you through what his year and a half has looked like.
Okay.
Won the College World Series, won the College World Series, won the College World Series MVP. He got drafted first overall by the Pirates, called up to Major League Baseball in just 10 months, leads the league in ERA, is an all-star in just 11 games. He's announced as an all-star starting pitcher, named NL Cy Young finalist, and won NL Rookie of the Year.
And you
Don't forget Livy Dunn.
Yeah, you forgot.
That was
You're
on
not
the
into
list,
that part,
and I scratched it off.
I was going to say I was going to give 2 more, Livy, and what was the signing bonus? Right? I mean,
I don't even know the signing bonus.
yeah, I'm sure
Pretty
his
penny?
signing
Probably
bonus,
9 or 10.
yeah, $10 million. His signing bonus was enough that for most of us, okay, good, I'm pretty well set for life. And this is
And
just
he's
the
just getting
beginning.
started.
There's just a drop in the bucket for him, right? So, it's been a pretty good year. It's interesting that at the beginning of the show I mentioned there is an award being announced today that the Rangers have never won, and it continues to, I know, frustrate people in the organization. And in many ways, it's not surprising, although in some ways it is. The Rangers had Nolan Ryan at the end of his career, but we were, reminding each other, Nolan never won it.
Right.
Never.
That's Abby said she just watched the Nolan documentary.
That's
Yeah.
a snippet
And
in
there's
there.
a snippet in there. They're asking all these Hall of Fame players, how many Cy Youngs did Nolan Ryan win?
And
I don't
they're
know,
like,
4,
yeah.
9,
Yeah.
And they're
3?
like,
Yeah.
none.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't win any.
Never won one. And the main reason, and Abby asked me, she said, why? And off the top of my head, I just said, basically because he walked too many guys.
Well,
And essentially, most of the explanations then when you type that into Google are, control issues. Right?
He didn't play for great teams.
No.
He obviously won a World Series with the Mets in '69, but he wasn't a starter.
No.
Gets traded to the Angels, and they're bad,
They were.
and so, he would go 19-13, and make 41 starts and strike out 300 guys and walk 180 guys, or the big year, of course, when he set the record, I think 383. He walked 200, 202 or 204.
It was 204.
Yeah.
I mean, but wins really mattered back then to voters and to the players and to the managers, and that's not the case necessarily anymore. So I think he'd have a better chance now.
Yeah.
Just when people would dive into the metrics and be like, holy crap, his hits per 9 inning. Did any voter look at that back then and be like,
No.
he only gives up 5 hits per 9 innings?
Right.
So I don't know, but I think that he would win a Cy Young in this era.
I do too.
Interesting.
Which also leads me to a little trivia. Who do you think has the most Cy Young awards in their
Roger Clemens.
Roger Clemens with 7.
Yeah.
7.
Roger Clemens.
Randy Johnson
Randy
next with
Johnson,
5.
And then Maddox has 4.
Maddox has 4.
Bunch of 3s.
Steve Carlton has 4.
Oh, 4. Okay, and then
Kershaw's
a bunch
got
of threes.
3, probably.
Oh, plenty of 3. Yeah,
Jim
Verlander,
Palmer's
Kershaw,
got 3. Sandy Koufax has
Scherzer.
3.
Yeah.
Scherzer.
Scherzer 3.
Scherzer has 3. Yeah.
100%.
Our own Jacob deGrom has 2.
2.
Yeah. So, it's announced tonight. I think it's probably not quite a foregone conclusion, but really since August we've been talking about the 2 guys who had a chance to win Triple Crown in pitching, and they both did, and they're probably both going to be Cy Young Award winners tonight.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Tarek Skubal and Chris Sale.
Tarek Skubal turns 28 today.
Oh, what a birthday present.
It's a pretty decent birthday gift.
Yeah, I guess so. Sale, Skeens, who's the other finalist in the other league?
Zach Wheeler.
Oh, Zach Wheeler. Yeah.
Which also Chris Sale and Zach Wheeler have never won the Cy Young.
It's a little surprising on Sale, but
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's a good group.
Yeah.
It'll be all first timers.
Yep.
Right. The winners will be first timers. So that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It should be a fun night. Check it out tonight. It'll be on the MLB Network, and you can watch the award tomorrow, 5 p.m. our time.
5 p.m. all week.
Yep. And tomorrow, of course, it's going to be MVP. So that's the last one of the week, and will be fun. We'll preview that tomorrow, and we'll have fun chatting about this and previewing that tomorrow. Now batting, number 53, right fielder Adolis Garcia. Where's his walk-up music? Groups, for God's sake.
We need DJ Stats for that.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah, DJ Stats now, not Groups. So anyway, Adolis,
tough year.
We've talked about him a lot because literally, he and a few others were,
subpar.
Sadly, they're gonna, they're the ones taking the, shouldering the blame, if you will, for an offense that continued in a malaise all season long.
Well, I mean, they might be they earned it.
You got to take the good. You got to take the good with the bad.
Accountability
is
the word we're looking for.
If you're going to have
accountability,
if you're going to have Adolis Garcia in the middle of your lineup behind Corey Seager and whoever was batting third at times, but he's going to have guys on base. Yeah. All right, got to get him home. Sometimes you don't have to get him home. Sometimes you just have to have a productive out and move them along, if you will. So he of all the you look at the numbers, it's like, oh my gosh, what happened here? He had to rally to get to 224. He rallied late to get to 224. 284 on base, not good enough. 400 slugging, not awful, but he slugged 508 last year. He's never that's his only season above 500 because he does make a lot of outs. But all right, let's look at the good. 25 homers. That's pretty good.
It is.
That's not bad. It's the lowest of his career since he became a full-time player. 85 RBI, also the lowest, but still not bad. It's just the even the strikeouts weren't the worst of his career. It was just the average though was significantly lower, and the times when he came up with a chance to do something and came up empty. Especially, it's not like he's hitting ninth; he's hitting fourth.
Yeah,
and it just is you can't have that.
No.
Well, as Wyatt had such a strong September. I mean, Adolis started off strong.
Oh yeah,
he did quite a good bit of damage on his numbers. 8 home runs, 7 doubles, 25 RBI over his first 30 games of the season. I mean, that's a good chunk of his work for the season.
Sure, it's a month.
Yeah. So and he played 154 games out of 162 and
played hurt.
Yeah, 153 in right field and 23 as the designated hitter. So I don't know. Will he be 100% healthy next year?
Well, you hope so. He had his surgery right after the season, the first week of October. So he's probably nearing. Well, we saw him dancing the other day.
Yeah,
so he's got to be feeling good.
Knees look good.
But it was the timeline.
Let's pass the eye test.
Yeah,
it was an 8-week timeline is what we were given on that conference call, and we're right there. He's going to be. I would think he's going to be healthier than he was last year because remember the World Series on October 30th. He yanked his lat, and it was pretty severe. It was like a 6 to 8 week thing. So, and then the Rangers didn't play him in spring training. Really, He didn't make his debut until March, and he did it as a DH. So it's like, did how hurt was he? He certainly seemed to be healthy to start the year, but and Tony kind of mentioned it yesterday. They took it easy on some guys. These guys didn't have the chance to, he said a chance to prepare for a season. We've always kind of said the chance to recover.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference.
Yes.
Because, recover is like, all right, I get my body healthy, but, you want to be able to get your swing in the right place and all that stuff. And some of these guys, and Adolis might have been one of them, because he didn't have a great spring. But then he had the great April, and it just didn't carry over. There are a couple theories that I heard, one of which I kind of conjured up. He had the contract issue in the offseason.
He did.
He's the postseason, the ALCS hero, MVP, terrific series, wins game 1 with a walk-off homer in the World Series after Seager tied it, and riding high and all the momentum, and he's a budding star. And then they come to a contract dispute. He wanted $6.75 million or something like that in arbitration, or he wanted 5.75, and the Rangers only gave him 4. I don't remember the numbers, but I think it hurt him. I really think that it hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
All right. And so anyway, they came up with a number, but
Can't play it with hurt feelings.
I still think it bothered him. Now, another theory I heard is that he had such a great April that all of a sudden he got in his head, I'm going to be the MVP, or I'm going to be an all-star, all of this stuff, and he couldn't live up to it. And then he started putting pressure on himself. He takes these things hard. Bruce Bochy mentioned that several times, that Adolis is very emotional and deals with these things.
You could even tell at the home run derby.
Sure. So I think there are a lot of things that contributed to his down season, but he needs to be right for this team to be good.
He does indeed. That is now batting for this day. And coming up next, we get to our batting cleanup segment. So 2 cleanup hitters in a row. We've got some things to talk about. What is going on with the Hall of Fame? What's happening in Tampa? And, of course, a Soto saga update. It's all coming up. It's the DLLS Rangers Podcast. Now, you look at this shirt and you're thinking, ooh, he's going to talk about merch. Nope. I'm talking about what it says right there. Die Hard. That's what we are. That's what we want you to be, right? We want you to be a diehard. It's fun. It's cool. It's awesome. You get to read those stories that Jeff puts behind the paywall and that Clarence Hill does for our Cowboys writer, as our Cowboys writer. And we've got Stars people. We've got Mavs people with Tim Cato and Mark Stein putting things up there. So please make sure you get yourself a Die Hard subscription, $79.99. You get a free shirt. You could pick this one if you wanted, or any of the others, 20% off all of the things that we do as a part of being this new entity here in Dallas. What we're trying to do, ultimately, we're trying to make being a sports fan fun. Take that to the next level.
I'll show off my merch.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm taking
today's
it off.
Wednesday.
Wow.
It is Wednesday.
On Wednesdays, Jeff wears purple.
That's right. I've got the TCU shirt. There it is. Looking pretty sweet.
All horned frogs.
I don't know if you watched the All Horned Frog show last week, but Brian Essridge said it shows off my guns. So,
yeah,
these shirts are fantastic. You can get them at store.allcitynetwork.com. Shirts, hoodies, hats are coming. Once they do, I'll have one of every model, and I'll wear them frequently. And I look forward to that day. So, and if you're a diehard, you get the 20% off at store.cityall.com. So go ahead and do that. Go look it up. Check out our stuff. All 4 major pro sports, TCU, SMU, UT, Wings, and then buy one for your loved one. Buy one for yourself. Christmas is coming. I think we're going to have some potential sales coming up, so be sure to stick around for that on those 2 big shopping days coming up next week. So anyway, store.allcitynetwork.com.
Cool. So time for our batting cleanup segment, and the first news is the Cubs are acquiring a right-handed reliever from the Guardians, Eli Morgan.
Great.
Headed to Chicago.
Okay.
How do you like Eli?
There you
don't
go.
like me now, Eli.
He's in the other league, so I don't have to worry about it.
Don't have to worry about Eli Morgan anymore. Not sure what the Guardians are getting back yet. It's being reported by MLB.com.
You're really killing it today with the Guardians, by the way.
That is, thank you very much.
Yeah.
That is not, like huge batting cleanup worthy type news, but it just hit my phone.
It's
so
not. Yeah.
I thought I'd say it.
All right.
Breaking news, if you will.
Yeah, it is. It's breaking. Even if it's not big, it is breaking.
The Rockies have re-signed catcher Jacob Stalling, so there's another little nugget.
Breaking news.
Not a great offensive guy, but a former Gold Glove winner.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Breaking news. All right. Do we have a Soto update today?
We have a Soto update.
Soto saga continues.
All right. He met with the Yankees. And here's how this cookie's going to crumble. Apparently, if Hal Steinbrenner wants Juan Soto to be a Yankee, then by golly, Juan Soto will be a Yankee. That was the consensus of that meeting. Seems that it's in, like, the ball's in his court. Kind of interesting. But we were kind of talking about you got to spend money to make money. Yankees are the definition of money in my mind. So, you're going to get your money back. He's a good investment. But they were also kind of saying, we're in the race. We're just not sure where. And that's all they're going to say.
Can you imagine that there are Yankees fans, given, the report that you just made, Abs, there are Yankees fans who, like Rangers fans, are frustrated that the billionaire owner won't spend money, right, on certain players, except, and of course, the big difference is what Yankees fans say is, spend some damn money, Steinbrenner. They get a little more heated under the sports collar than we do.
Yeah, you've got it in your bag, you know, and it's,
But they all do.
Right, they all do.
But you're right, the Yankees generate more, like it's a recurring generation of money each and every year.
Yeah, it's like, Christmas comes around once a year, same time.
Like the Cowboys.
Kind of like that.
Yeah, Cowboys, same thing.
Maybe too soon.
Yeah, same thing.
But, the meeting went well with the Yankees, met with the Phillies as well.
Dodgers next week, I think I saw.
Dodgers next week. So the Soto saga does continue.
And Bill Plaschke with the LA Times wrote something, do not sign Juan Soto. Instead, keep the team together, because if eventually the Dodgers are going to have to be like, all right, we're out of control here.
Yeah.
If you're going to give him whatever it takes, you're going to have a guy making $70 million, although albeit, after the terms of the contract, you still got to pay it.
Eventually, you got to pay that money. Yeah.
And if you want to sell the team anytime soon, and you have that money on the back end, that's going to hurt the value of your franchise. Anyway. I don't know what's going to happen. I think he should just sign with the Yankees. And
the Yankees did
get
say we've got the ability to sign any player that we want.
Yeah. Nah. I think, though, Steve Cohen won't be, like, literally, if it comes down to just money. And again, I don't know that he's going to get, I don't know that anybody's going to get sort of that right to meet or beat any other offer. I don't know if Boris even ever works that way, but Cohen, I think, would exceed what the Yankees would offer if he had the opportunity to do so. That's what I think. He's the richest owner out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to, but
and they got close last year. He's like chomping at the bit.
You want to go win? What? I don't know the Mets very well. For crying out loud, they're in the other league, but their best starting pitcher, Sean Manaea, is now a free agent.
Yeah.
They're Jeff McNeil was hurt. The second baseman won a batting title a few years ago. It looks like the Vientos kid's going to be pretty good at third base, but Brett Beatty and other top prospects kind of slipping a little bit. Pete Alonso, what's going to happen with Pete Alonso?
Right.
Does Juan Soto want to sign with a team that is going to lose Pete Alonso? Because, Corey Seager, as we mentioned probably last week, maybe this week, said it takes more than just me. It can't be only me. It's got to be other guys, and that's why, Simeon was added, and they invested in the pitching the next year. So, I think, I think the Yankees. Aaron Judge is under contract for 8 more years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And these are questions that we know Soto's asking. based on reports we've gotten, like from what he asked Boston, right?
He's crossing
asking
his
them, what's the
T's.
plan here?
Yeah, dotting his I's. No, but it's, I think a lot of people have said he'll go where the most money is. Okay, if 660 and 660 Mets, 650 Yankees. You're gonna $10 million more to go to a new team?
I would.
You
mean,
would?
yes, in that case, I would. Now, I remember, pretty sure it was when Kenny Rogers left here to go to the Yankees. I think Kenny left here to go to the Yankees, and he got $7.5 million more or whatever, right? To go to total value of the contract to go to the Yankees in those days. They weren't making as much. And I did the math, and I'm like, between taxes and the amount of money he's got to pay for housing up there, he just lost $3 million. Right?
I know, but that's like a huge comparison of like Rangers to the Yankees.
That's what I'm saying. But
like,
the point here is, it's Mets to Yankees, so it's the same living,
New York,
the same taxes, like, all that stuff.
Obviously,
so take $10 million.
No,
like we throw away $10 million. Take a move for $10 million.
Go with the icon. Yeah. Yankees.
Make the Mets an icon. Huh?
I don't know.
See if you can help them win 26 titles. They're 27 now.
Oh, I did see this. Somebody asked, this was like all-star footage that got resurfaced. Somebody asked, I think it was like during the time of the Olympics, they were like, oh, LeBron and Steph get to be teammates, whatever. If you could be teammates with one guy in MLB, who would it be? Like, dream team. He said Ohtani.
Yeah.
But who wouldn't?
Right. I mean, at this point, who else would you say, honestly?
I mean, you're already teammates with Aaron Judge, so.
Yeah. And truly, I mean, that guy is, he's, again, we've said it, he's the Babe Ruth of this generation. He's a guy who will go down in history as one of the greatest players of all time. Not that we're going to forget about Aaron Judge or probably not forget about Juan Soto, for that matter, unless he falls off the table.
Right, he's only 26, just so young.
Yeah, so baby. Young. Yeah. So anyway, 2025 Hall of Fame class, we've been wanting to talk about this, and mostly because Ian Kinsler, Jeff, is on the ballot.
He is.
On the ballot.
And we've got, and again, I mean, so CC Sabathia, so is King Felix.
Ichiro.
So is Ichiro.
Ichiro's the layup this year.
Ichiro and CC, I think, are probably in.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Ichiro, the word was during the Beltray weekend is that Cooperstown is bracing for like 100,000 fans.
Oh,
because of the Japanese
the media.
presence
Their media
and all that stuff.
Something.
Yeah,
it'll be nuts. So I'm not going to go this year. Anyway,
yeah, it's crowded enough without 100,000.
Yeah, nuts. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, Ian Kinsler's on the ballot. Ian had a nice career, really a nice career. He's an all-star, won a Gold Glove. He was really good in 2008 before he had a hernia. He was like, a lot of people had him as the first half MVP. Won a World Series finally with the Red Sox. So a nice career. You have to get 5%. You have to be on 5% of the ballots to stay on the ballot for the next year. Might be a big number for Ian. I have a vote. I don't know how many years I've been voting. I think Pudge was my first year. So anyway, we'll see what happens. But you have the carryovers every year, and then you add new guys. You move it around a little bit. There are some guys who are and aren't necessarily like Jimmy Rollins. I had Jimmy Rollins on one year. I took him off last year. So there's some things like that.
Here's another big one. You have the best reliever that's not in on the ballot, and I think you've said to me, Jeff, you're trying to help get Billy Wagner in.
Yeah, I think this is his last year on the ballot. That's it's a tight one for him. There are a couple relievers on there. Francisco Rodriguez, who I also voted for. I'm looking through my phone to see if I can find my ballot from last year. Okay, I voted last year for Adrian Beltre, Todd Helton, Andrew Jones, who I think should be in the Hall of Fame, Joe Mauer. So Beltre, Helton, Mauer got in. Francisco Rodriguez. I did vote for Jimmy Rollins. I voted for Gary Sheffield in his last year, and I voted for Billy Wagner. I did not vote for Chase Utley, who was a popular first-timer. I do not vote for Alex Rodriguez because he was busted he failed 2 tests after testing was implemented. So that's my rule. If you fail a test after testing was implemented, you're out.
All right. So we've got to say goodbye, and we thank you very much for joining us. And we'll talk to you again next time. And now we're going to talk again. This is our new rule. We do a soft close. So that we can just kind of, when it's on TV and they repurpose it, those people are all like, oh, cool. They're going to talk to us again next time. And now we're going to finish our damn discussion. By God. Yeah. But look, we got the queen here. When the queen... Yeah,
she's like
when the
charge.
queen's here, we have to mind our P's and Q's, by God. So,
Torrey Hunter is back on the ballot. I think he got there. Carlos Beltran's another one who's dicey. Bobby Abreu. There are a lot of people who think Bobby Abreu should be a Hall of Famer, and it's interesting. I've never voted for him, but anyway. So that was my. Omar Vizquel is another one who's his personal issues, reported personal issues, off the field issues have kind of clouded
it. But that's a heck of a shortstop for a heck of a long time.
Right. And so anyway, you're going to add the new guys. So Ichiro's going to get in.
Yes,
Sabathia. I'll probably
you need 75% of the votes, right?
to get in.
And last year Billy Wagner got 73.8.
He's going to get in.
Yeah, I think
he should get in.
So I'll probably, let's look at the ballot real quick. I don't think I selected 10. You have up to 10. I did not do 10. I did 8. So that left me a little wiggle room for this year. So Ichiro will have to be an ad. Well, 3 are going to fall off. So I'm with 5. So I've got 5 openings.
You got 5? Oh, 5 openings.
Yeah. Right. So Ichiro, CC.
Yeah.
I really like Felix Hernandez. I thought he was one of the best pitchers of his era, or his time. So maybe I do add Utley. Maybe I do add Vizquel. Maybe I throw my buddy Ian a vote.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. I should be getting the ballot in the mail this week.
I don't think Ian.
Since 17, I think was my first.
Was
year.
that Pudge? Yeah, that was Pudge's year. Yeah.
You've got to be to vote. You have to be in the Baseball Writers Association for 10 years, 10 continuous years, and then you get to vote. It used to be until you died, but if you leave the business, you get like 5 or 6 years to cushion to gradually fall out. But the pool of voters has gotten a lot smaller.
So that way you don't have a guy going, "Get off my lawn, Billy Wagner."
Yeah, exactly.
Or that just hasn't watched a baseball game since they retired.
Right.
And then it's just like a personal bias. Like whoever left Jeter off.
Yeah. I would love to see Ian. First of all, I'd love to see him get in, but I know that's a long shot. But I'd love to see him stay on the ballot and Dustin Pedroia not. Dustin's also on this year. And the history with Ian and Dustin Pedroia,
goes all the way back to college.
Goes all the way back to college. Ian transferred because of Dustin Pedroia.
Right.
And then they both they both had great careers.
Sure they did. And Pedroia did win the MVP in 2008. After Ian got hurt.
Yeah,
really.
Ironically.
That was the year that the Red Sox had all the injuries, and so Pedroia batted cleanup and carried the offense for a while. But Ian a nice career. I'd like to see how he measures up to other second basemen. I voted for Jeff Kent for a number of years. He never made it in. I saw somebody. I think Ardell asked if Kurt Schilling ever got in. He did not.
No.
His political views, I think, really affected what is a left-leaning electorate. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And then Barry Bonds. I think Ethan mentioned Barry Bonds should be in. I voted for Barry Bonds because he never got busted by the league. It was before they really started enforcing things. So I would have voted for Mark McGwire too because he never got suspended.
Nope.
So that's kind of where I draw the line. And some people don't like it, some people do. But if they get caught? If you get caught, you're out.
Look, I promise you, there are a bunch of guys from that era who are in.
They're
100%.
They're 100% are.
Yeah. So that's why. So why are we only going to penalize a few of them, right?
But there was
that's just it.
Scapegoat.
But baseball didn't test. All right. And baseball made in the Hall of Fame made money off of those guys.
Right.
They knew what the hell was going on.
Of course.
Okay, so then they start to enforce it. All right. Well, guess what? You got to live with it. You got to live with those guys being in the Hall of Fame because you turned your head. You
Agreed.
looked the
But
other
why
way.
do those guys have to live with not being in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah,
just because
I agree.
some.
No, I agree. I think Barry Bonds
yeah.
should be in.
Yeah. I do
How much
too.
money did baseball
Mark
make on Barry
McGwire.
Bonds and
Right.
Mark McGwire?
Right.
Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa helped
Yes.
baseball's popularity. They didn't help save baseball.
After that, they
You know,
should
Cal
didn't
Ripken
have a
helped
World,
save baseball.
World Series.
But
Yeah.
but those two guys, the
Yeah.
home run chase.
It's kind of like, you know, I like with the the World Series cheating thing. Like me and my mom, we were kind of talking about it, and it's like, you know, the one guy that came out and said something, well, he did it after he left the Astros. And it's like you were fine with it when it was working in your favor, you know? But then you're gone, and now you're going to pull the curtain back, and it's like, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, we're gonna have Mark McLemore on the show next week, and Mac, you know, I've watched so many games with Mac, and Mac's thing always was, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But then he heard about the Astros thing, and it's like, oh, that's over the line. You know, it's like, but that's kind of the mentality in the game. And again, Mac was great at stealing signs, right? The old-fashioned way.
There's
just
like,
look at them, observe them, figure out what they're doing. Oh,
yeah, I
see
mean, I
what
think
they're
that's
doing.
like
And
it's like an
everybody
advantage.
does that. They try to teach kids that in Little League, you know?
That's just being smart.
Right. And
Baseball
so,
IQ.
but, you know, again, that is over the line. That is what the
way they-
Astros allegedly did. I'm not even, was it ever proven?
The
I
way
don't
they
even
went
know.
Yeah,
Where they went about
It
it.
was all
They
proved?
had a system and all.
Okay. All right, well, then good. They cheated. I mean, not good, but we know they did.
So ultimately, when it gets to that point, will Jose Altuve, who's
Be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's a great question.
you know,
Now, look, he's great with the media. That's the other thing that kind of annoy. Or do you not think he is? Maybe you don't have good
I've
experiences.
talked to him. He's fine.
Yeah.
Do you think?
I think
do you
he's
think
pretty
the
good.
AJ Manager of the Year thing? You think?
I don't know. It might have. I haven't looked to see if anybody wrote about it, but you know, did AJ Hinch? Did somebody hold that against him?
Yeah.
I mean, if you have like a blemish on your
you know, did they?
baseball record, you got.
Do the
gotta
Tigers have a
consider it.
camera out there in that little pickup truck in center field?
right.
You know? But and AJ said he hated it and smashed the TV over it or whatever, but he didn't stop it.
Didn't stop it. Knew about it and didn't stop it.
Yeah.
So speaking of stopping it,
Let's stop.
shall we stop?
Yeah, I'm
We're-
hungry
more
and I've
for
got to do
tomorrow.
TCU today too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to do TCU. We got another show tomorrow. Tomorrow we're a little later. We're at 2:00 tomorrow as we juggle schedules here, and we're heading toward the holiday, and there's just a lot of people with days off and things like that. So hang with us tomorrow at 2. Sorry you don't get to eat your lunch with us unless you eat lunch late, and we appreciate you eating lunch with us today.
But
And most days,
Ben and Ardell should be able to get their workouts in.
yeah, that's right. And I think Friday we're back at noon.
With a guest.
With a guest, a very special guest. Friday and Monday we have guests. Wow.
Ooh.
How about that? All right. That's
Strong.
it. That'll do it.
Off-season.
Thank you. We appreciate you so much. Thanks for chatting. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing. See you tomorrow at 2 for another edition of the DLLS Rangers Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.